Hey guys, everybody out there. It's me again, Greg with Microsoft Hates Hearts Greg's Quick Measures. All right, so this is another exclusive for you guys. You guys being the first people to see this, other than myself and a few people at Enterprise DNA. So late last Saturday, early Sunday, I started working on another new tool for Enterprise DNA, and maybe I'll get something out for MSHGQM as well, some kind of free version of it. But I wanted to, and so I'll show you where I've gotten to, right? And so what I've created is DAX Editor Pro, all right? And so I wanted to, so DAX editors, we have DAX Studio, right, which is a fantastic tool. We've got Tabular Editor, which is another fantastic tool. And the Tabular Editor 3 has that debugging feature that's just insanely crazy, right? But I saw these tools, and even DAX Studio is a little complicated, and Tabulator 3 is very complex, and there's a learning curve on it, especially around with the debugger, right? So what I wanted to do is create something that was kind of better than this kind of awful experience that we have in Power BI Desktop for DAX editing, but wasn't so crazy complicated and as like Tabulator, and it didn't have like a learning curve. So basically, if you're familiar with this interface, you could pick up this new interface and just away you go, and you've got much better experience for yourself and lots of bells and whistles and things that you find in like DAX Studio and Tabular Editor that are kind of nice for DAX editing and stuff like that. So I'm going to show you. You guys are going to be again first people to see this, and stick around to the end because I'm going to give you an update on Conductor Pro. I think you're going to like this feature that I added. All right, so let's just cut right to the chase, right? Let's just fire this bad boy up. And I've got the latest version installed. Um, just built it, just put it out there for download for the Enterprise DNA folks to take a look at. But so here we go. I mean, so we've got all my columns and measures are sitting over here, right? So, and of course, we have the nice color coding and things that you come to expect, right? But we have like these nice little folding taggers, right? So I think that's kind of a tabular editor feature that I've seen. But pretty easy to add those kind of things in here. I did integrate SQL BI. So if I take some kind of I got some messy code here, some real messy code. Let's paste that in here. And so I integrated with SQL BI's DAX formatter. So you do have to be online for the format to work. But anyway, valid character. Oh, that's because I grabbed too much text. Format that. There we go. So yeah, it'll format things. And as you can see, I've got comments in here. I've got this nice handy comment button, comment, uncomment. So you just have one button if you want to comment in, one button if you want to comment out. Same button. It just takes a look and sees if it's got commenting, and then if it does, it gets rid of it. That kind of stuff, right? Plus, I've got the debugging commas, right? Commas first and commas last, right? So it pops them in and out of where they're supposed to be. Commas first, commas last, right? So that makes it easy to comment things out, right? So I could say commas first and then select this and then comment it out, and I haven't done, anyway, people like that feature, so I put it in here. So formats, obviously I save this, I'd save it to my file. It will edit, right? So if you have a measure that's already existing and I say I want to return my var and I say save, and I go over here to my DAX, calendar, my measure. So yeah, my var. So it allows you to not only create measures, kind of like what Quick Measures Pro does, but also allows you to edit them as well. Find has a find feature, right? I can find and replace all the stuff. Pretty simple. It supports, of course, all of your different selection features and keyboard shortcuts, and Control C, Control V. I can do, if I hold down the Alt key, I can select rectangular text, right? Things like that. So it's got all those kind of standard stuff that you're going to find. You can create a new well, I'll show you the copy one first. So if I copy this measure, what it does, it actually goes and analyzes this, and then increments a number here. So I don't know, something that was requested, so I put it in there. If you hit new, obviously it pulls back and says, oh, column 1. So it actually goes and tries to, and so it actually looks at the table you're in and figures out, oh, column isn't available, so the next one is column 1, right? That's going to be the next one that you're going to want to create. So it's got those kind of features in there. We've got theming, right? Okay, so let me get a measure up here, so yeah. So let me get this text again here. Get rid of the bad stuff. Format. And then we got theming. So we got a light theme, we have a dark theme, right? We have a couple other, we have a gray theme. I'm going to save sparkle. You get to find out what sparkle looks like. And I'm going to save pickle. You get to see what pickle looks like. We've got, papyrus, and we've got Ukraine, and we have abides, right? So the dude abides. So, so we got all the standard stuff, plus your metadata down here, right? You can set all your metadata as you create your measures, right? So easy peasy. If you hit new, this goes away, gives you that. So I'm going to go back to my light. So, but I know you guys have been staring at this debug button all this whole time, and I've been avoiding it. But I'm going to show you what it does. And I sort of like the implementation. You guys will have to tell me. You guys have to give me a comment in the video and tell me what you guys think of this form of debugging. It feels easier to me than Tabular Editor. And I probably think that it's not nearly as full-featured and rich, right, as Tabular. Tabular's debugging is ridiculous. From a programming perspective, it's wow. It's amazing. But I wanted something simple, right? So, and I think this will work in like 80% of the cases. It probably will get you where you need to be. And then if you need to really delve deep into filter context and other things like that, sure, fire up Tabular Editor 3 and go at it. But okay, we're just going to do it. Here he goes. So I got my variables, right? I got my return statement, and I hit debug. It says debug tooltips are ready. Okay, debug tooltips. What do you mean? So here, this is what it did was it replaced my tooltips. This probably been a better demo if I'd have done it in the right order. But it replaced my tooltips, and it went out and calculated my var and said, okay, that's going to return 1, and that's an int 64. And then my var 2 is text and it's string. And that's a table, and there's a table that it returned back, right? And then this returns true, and then my return statement is going to return that 1 because it's my var. So let's say that I change this to that, and I change, this to 1, 2, 3, and I add 1, 2, 3 here. I add 0, and well, we'll just do like 10, and we'll switch this to false. It does have type ahead, right? So there it is, false. Boom, right? So I mean, it does have the coloring needs a little work. I think the type ahead needs a little work. It's close, and it doesn't have as many. It's not quite as nice as the ones in Power BI and that. But so I've changed all this stuff and hit debug again, right? And I look back at now I have text 1, 2, 3, and 10, and there's my 1, 2, 3 column. And I got this. I got to work on the formatting for the table. And it is a tooltip, and it doesn't really allow you to copy it, but it'll return like the first 25 columns and the first 25 rows right now. So, it's a first step. But I think, it's kind of nice. So there's the table that returned. So it's kind of nice in that, we do a lot of coding, right, with, the where we're changing this return statement to be a different variable, right? And, over and over again. And it's real pain to troubleshoot that way. So I think something like this, where it goes in and you can just see the values of your variables every step of the way, and then what it's going to return, I think it's going to be a real big help. So like, for example, and here's a tip for you, right? If you're going to use the format function, don't name your measure because it doesn't like it. And that's not my fault. That's the SQL BI's DAX format. I got that straight from Marco. He's like, yeah, don't use measure, as the name. So anyway, I appreciate that, Marco. It was driving me crazy. All right, so like for example, if I debug this, right, and I look at table, and then it there, shows me the information that's in that table. And then after returns, I'm going to return 5. Anyway, it's simple, right? There's not much to it. It's really doing what we do manually. It's taking a look and it's finding these var, something equals through regex. And then it's trying to find the next return statement or the next var statement. And then therefore, if it finds that, and then it just kind of builds the DAX measure and then submits it to the engine and then returns it, right? So it takes the variable, so it takes everything in front of the variable. So for example, in this case, what it's doing, and like for this guy, it's actually taking all of this code because it's found this var. So it's taken all this code, it's parsed out this variable name, and then it just tacks on a return and then that variable name and sends that to the engine and then returns it back. And that's where you get the value from, right? That's where, oh, I haven't debugged this one yet. So every time you switch measures and stuff, you got to debug it. I could tie it to typing because, we do have type ahead, right? So there's my tables and there's my calendar, stuff like that. So date, it's got the basics type ahead, and that's again, I can improve it, and it's a work in progress. But yeah, I mean that's it really. Add columns, and it adds the little thing for you and all that sort of stuff. So, and did I show you? I showed you the folding taggers, right? Yeah, because this one had folding taggers, so I showed that. Okay, I think I've shown you pretty much everything. Kind of gone through that, but so let me show you what's new and cool with Conductor, right? But again, really want feedback on this. Is this something people want? We have the DAX editor in Power BI. We have SQL, we have DAX Studio, we have Tabular Editor 3. Is something like this, what do you think about this type of an editor, which gives you far more capabilities, right, than the standard DAX editor in Power BI, but it's not, I wouldn't call it as good as Tabular Editor 3 as far as its editor by any stretch, right? And certainly not the debug features. So kind of interested in what you have to think about it. But let me show you Conductor Pro. All right, Conductor Pro. So I added one thing that's really kind of cool to Conductor Pro, actually two things. So here's my Conductor Pro setup. But as you can see, I added grouping, right? So I can actually take like my name, I can edit this, and I can say group 2. I can save it. I didn't check to see this, and now I have group 2. So I can just endless groups, right? Endless amounts of tools and groups. The cool thing about it, the really cool thing is that if you go in and you edit, if you edit the name or you edit the description or you edit the group, if you reinstall that tool, as Conductor is gonna remember like your customizations for that tool, right? So, but just for name, description, and group, because those are kind of stuff that you can personalize. So I store that in an actual other file that sits within your backup tools directory, and preserves it. If you install a new version of that tool, it doesn't blow away your customization and settings. You get to save them, across multiple installations of the tool. So thought those were cool things to show you, and that is it for this video. Hope you guys have a good one, and I'm going to go enjoy my weekend.